Okay, while you were gone, or while I was gone, I have melted my butter in the microwave. I've checked the sausage is all done. However, if you look, see here, it's kind of dry in there, not a lot of fat. And you need about 3 tablespoons of fat and 2 tablespoons of flour to 1 cup of whatever liquid you're putting in there. Since I'm making about 4 cups this morning, I'm going to add a little more bacon fat into that, which I have saved from the refrigerator. I save bacon fat occasionally, stick it in the refrigerator in a pint jar. Works great for any time of cooking. Over here, I got my spices ready to go. Salt, my pepper, Mama's secret ingredient, Worcestershire sauce. And I'm going to make the gravy with whole milk and lactose milk this morning. I'm going to cut it half and half. Lactose-free milk makes it easier for me to digest. You can make it with either one. Any kind of milk will be fine. Do not use coconut or almond milk. That will taste nasty. Okay, so I'm going to start that here in just a minute, and then I'm going to start rolling biscuits, and we'll take and see where that gets us here in just a couple minutes. Okay, since I last chatted with you, the bacon fat has rendered down into the sauce. I'll show you here. See how we got a little bit more stuff in there? Now this is where you got to make a decision. Actually, you should have made a decision on this before you put the extra fat in there. Some people do not like to make gravy with the flour in here to make the gravy when the sausage is still in the pan. This is your option. It really doesn't matter. I have never taken it out. I have a good friend that does. It turns out just fine either way. Your preference. I'm going to get into my unbleached flour. I've got about a scoop, and I'm very carefully just going to shake on here until I can see whether or not how much we've got. Yeah, I guess you can measure it, but I don't. This is Home Cooking 101 by Mom. So the thing to look at here is the flour that you have in the pan being coated with the oil that you have in the pan? If you did, and it looks about like this consistency, where you can still see some of the flour in the mixture that you have, this is good. Okay, this is a good thing. You might add just a hair more. Get over here so I can get this. Just a little tiny bit more. That's probably about a tablespoon. There we go. That's it. Okay. Oh, there we go. See how it's sucking up the oil in there? That's what we want. So we're going to let that sit for just a moment, because what I want to do is I want the flour to start to brown. If it scorches a little bit, that's still okay, but we want it to brown. Okay, so we're going to let that start to cook. I have it on an electric stove. It's on about a 2.5 or so on a setting. Here is where you can add your salt and pepper to taste if you want, but I don't add the milk and Worcestershire sauce yet until this stuff has cooked a bit more and that gravy mix with the flour has started to brown. It's not there yet. I'm going to let it continue to cook. Meanwhile, off to biscuits. So we're going to plop over here for just a second. I got my dry mix ready. I did not add the wet ingredients yet. Typically, I use either a olive oil or an avocado oil, but this is what I've been using lately. It's just an avocado oil. It works just fine. If you want to use butter, that's fine too. Just make sure that you have one of the tools that will cut it in better for you. Typically, I make a dwell in there in the middle for my wet ingredients in there. I'm going to put about 1/4 cup, no more, just a little bit like that, enough to pull in, and then I'm going to start adding a little bit of milk. Over here again, I'm going to start using the whole milk only because that's what I've got in the fridge. Okay, now if we made these biscuits like my dad did, which one of these days I'll show you how to do it, he would not be adding all that stuff together. I'm going to get a grab spoon here. Because he liked to watch the chemical reaction of the baking powder in with the milk. That's how he knew that the baking powder was good. However, you can do the same thing this way. And the thing to look for is those bubbles. If you can see down in there, see those bubbles starting to come up? All around. They're all around those bubbles. That means that we have good baking powder. I use one without aluminum in it. I don't like the stuff that's aluminum in it. So we're going to mix this all up. Hopefully I didn't overdo my milk, which I probably did. That's okay. It'll still turn out just fine. These will be drop biscuits this morning instead of rolled biscuits. So I'm going to prep my skillet, my griddle for this, I'm going to lightly butter it and then start dropping these on here and sticking them into a 425 oven. So we'll see that here in just a moment. Okay, I've mixed up the batter. I'm going to show you what it looks like. See there? All right, what we're going to do is just make some biscuits, roll them up, drop them on to our pan over here, which you cannot see, but I'll show you here in just a second. This is a lightly buttered. We're going to make them about 2 inches around or so. This should make about a dozen, roughly. So as I'm going to continue to scoop them out here and get them on our greased pan. My oven is warming up, only because I forgot to turn it on earlier. And we got that warming up. You can hear it clicking back there as it's getting up to temp. We're going to continue just to go like in a circle. I generally start in the middle, put my first biscuit down in the middle, and then go around the edge. And make them all about the same size. Drop them in, scoop off whatever's on the spoon with my finger. Make sure your hands are clean, of course. And continue to fill up the skillet. In the meanwhile, I've got the flour browning in the skillet that's on the stove with the sausage, and it's almost done. The main thing for it is the flour has to brown. If you don't let the flour brown and cook, then what you do is you have gravy that tastes like flour. And you don't want flour gravy, you want sausage gravy. So take and make sure that you let it brown, give it time to cook. Don't rush it, okay? So we're almost done scooping this stuff out here. Okay, I'm gonna finish this up, get them ready for the oven, and go over and check my sausage. Okay, so the biscuits are done. Didn't quite make a dozen, but that's still okay. And the butter that I was going to use for the layers when I made layered biscuits, I'm just going to drizzle on the top of it. That'll help them. And I gently smash them down just a hair. Just a hair. That way everything stays on the top of it and doesn't float everywhere. If you use a flat pan and you use like parchment paper or something like this, make sure that you use a pan with some edges. I was at a friend's house the other day. She was doing some cooking, and she sprayed her pan down with some cooking spray. And the cooking spray ended up on the bottom of her oven. And the next thing you know, she's having to make her homemade oven cleaner and clean her oven because all of her butter that she put on for her pan or on her biscuits ended up in the bottom of the oven. So these guys are ready to go in there as soon as the oven is preheated. In the meantime, I wanted to bring you over here. This is what you're looking for. Check this out. See that brownness? That's what you want. That's when you know that the flour is cooked and cooking, and it's not going to have flour gravy. You're going to have gravy that tastes like sausage and not like little balls of flour. Not only that, if you have folks that don't like that the flour balls don't dissolve, this will fix that. Just let it cook. Just be patient. Don't rush. Okay, I'm going to put some milk and stuff in it and some seasoning. Okay, in just a minute. Okay, so we've added salt, Himalayan sea salt. That's what I use instead of iodized. I put in some freshly crushed black pepper, about 4 shakes of that Worcestershire sauce, however you pronounce that. Please forgive me, everybody out there that does know how to take and pronounce that correctly. And my milk. I ended up not having enough of the lactose-free milk out that I would like to have made it half and half. So it's basically 2/3 by 1/3, 2/3 whole milk, again, because I had it in the fridge, and the lactose-free milk. And it's going to start doing its wonderfulness here. Now you'll notice as soon as you start putting the liquid in that hot flour mixture with the sausage, it's going to start to bubble a little bit. That's fine. Just make sure you take and scoop the stuff off the bottom of your pan so that everything will start to incorporate well. Be good. In the meantime, we're going to wait for the oven to get heated up. That's fine because this needs time to cook. And we'll be back in just a little bit as soon as things progress a little further. Okay, so here's a quick update. The biscuits are in the oven. I set them for about 14 minutes. I'll check them in roughly 12. But your gravy here, I don't know if you can see it very well or not, is starting to thick. The key to this is don't walk away from it. And don't take too much time in between stirrings. What's going to happen is it's going to start to settle at the bottom. It'll start turning into gravy at the bottom and thickening and then starting to scorch on the bottom, and you don't want that. So it's okay to take a little bit of a break in stirring, but don't walk away from it. Don't go to the bathroom and decide you're going to be gone for 5 minutes because you're going to come back to a mess. By the time that the biscuits come out of the oven, this should be about done. So we're just going to keep stirring off and on, making sure things don't stick, watching it and waiting for it to bubble. I'll show you what that looks here in a minute. what kind of bubble we're looking for, and then it's your decision on whether you want thin gravy or thick gravy or stuff that ain't going to flop off the spoon gravy. So we'll check back in just a couple of moments as this stuff continues to cook. We'll watch a countdown timer on our biscuits. We still got 7 minutes to go, and we'll see what turns out here in just a bit. Okay, it's been about another 4 minutes or so since the last time I posted, and this is when the gravy is going to start doing well. See here, it's getting thicker. Some people like it this thickness. Myself and my husband, we don't. We like it a little bit thicker, so I'm going to let it cook a little bit longer. In the meantime, we got about 2 more minutes for the biscuits to come out of the oven. You can also then decide whether or not you like it peppery or not. We have 2 different taste buds in our home, so I will pepper it to the man of the house, and then when it comes out of the skillet and I serve it for myself, I'll top it with a bit more. Okay, voila, biscuits are done. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Too much noise on the background. And there's the oven. Thank you. So they're done. They're not going to get super golden brown because of the whole wheat flour greens that we put in it. And the gravy is done to a consistency that we like. So there you have it. Enjoy. Nice breakfast. Okay, so there she is. End product. Ready to eat. Time for a cup of coffee now. Enjoy.